Hello, greetings and namaste. This video will be a little bit about chanting today. I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do, but let's see what comes through, as they say. The reason I'm doing this, I don't usually mix my channels. I have Prem Das Music and Prem Das Talks. But I've had a few inquiries about chanting and whether or not that can help this process of awakening or opening up to God or connecting to God, however you want to talk about that. So I thought I would combine these two elements, which again I don't usually do, but not a big deal. It's all one, right? So if you've listened to many of my videos or any of my videos, you've probably realized I kind of take what I like from different traditions, different religions, different spiritual practices, and basically it all comes down to my heart. Whatever I resonate with, whatever makes me feel alive, makes me feel more open, loving, kind, compassionate, whichever reduces the ego, this kind of a thing, that's usually what I resonate with. But yeah, I think it mostly has to do with the feeling that I feel. So for me, as soon as I started playing the harmonium, I fell in love with it. I've basically had the same harmonium since, how long have I had this now? 2008, I believe. 2008, 2006. Wow, actually 2006. So I guess I've had it for 7 years. Wow, I haven't really thought about that, and it's amazing how quickly time goes. So it still sounds good. I really love it. As soon as I play it, my heart opens. And you know, when I started spirituality, I would have called myself more of a mystic, somebody who, again, it comes back to feeling, somebody who wanted to know about God, intellectually, let's say, but also somebody who wanted, of course, to feel God, whatever that means, right? So as soon as I started playing the harmonium, you could say I could feel God. It was something mystical, something ancient yet very fresh, something alive, something that opened my heart, made me feel the presence of what we can call God, or just that presence of beingness or consciousness. I could feel it more profoundly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about chanting, but I have a whole book here full of chants. And the truth is, I usually don't get through even one or two of them because sometimes I'll just get so caught up in a simple Om chant or maybe Gayatri mantra, or I have the Mula mantra here, which I actually haven't played in quite a while. But so why chant? I love satsangs. I love all the videos of all the teachers on YouTube. And I think it's very important. The Jnani path, the path of wisdom. I think it's important to deconstruct the ego, to look at what is this ego, what causes separation, what causes suffering, and then to investigate that. See, as Ramana Maharshi said, can you find a me inside? I've said this before, but I love his analogy. He speaks about the human being and a radio being the same thing. And if you open up a radio, maybe the radio is telling you the news, and you open up the radio, you don't find somebody in there. And the same thing can be applied to the human being. This human being is talking right now, and it looks kind of animated, I suppose. But if you open this body up, you're not going to find a separate someone living inside. We could say that consciousness is animating this physical form. I think that's great. Or timeless being. Life itself. Life is living this form. But you don't ever find a separate little somebody. There are so many studies now. I was watching a video yesterday. Gary Weber, I think he's a really interesting gentleman, and you can look him up on YouTube. But he was speaking at the Science and Non-Duality Conference, and he actually studies Sanskrit now, and he's very much into yoga. And in fact, it was during one of his yoga asanas that he woke up, or rather his thoughts just stopped appearing. But he talks about the different, what did he say? He said something like the eye, the separate eye, can be found in the brain in like 7 different spots. So there's not just one eye, there's certain eyes that appear and arise depending on probably what you're doing, who you're speaking with, what you're thinking about, what you're engaged in. So I found that very interesting. Now, Ramana Maharshi would just say that there's one ego, and I think it's simpler just to say that there is an ego or something that feels separate from everything out there. I feel separate from life. I feel separate from God. I feel separate from the others out there. And so the investigation of who am I can help direct us to actually look within and ask ourselves, do we find a somebody? We can find thoughts, we can find feelings, we can find sensations, we can find mental pictures and images, but is there actually a someone inside? And ultimately, you realize you can't find anyone inside, and that can be a bit, it can create a lot of joy, and sometimes it can create some fear, like, I can't find myself. Where am I? Who am I? So, anyways, 6 minutes in and I haven't sung anything. Wow. This is just further proof that I have no free will, and that even though I intend to do one thing, another thing happens. So let's spend this time just oming for a little bit. So why chant? If it resonates with you, don't do it because don't do any spiritual practice because you think you have to or you should do it. I should do this. Okay, maybe there's a time for doing something that you think you should or something you don't want to do because you're trying to recondition your conditioning. You're trying to break down that resistant ego that doesn't want to do something in particular. But basically I don't apply that in my own life. It's about, again, my heart. What resonates with my heart? So if chanting resonates with you, then by all means do it. What I found myself doing is taking a lot of pointers and non-duality concepts and things like that and putting them to music, just simple music, so that I was able to be with them more in my heart. So I wasn't just thinking like, I am awareness, I am beingness, thinking, but something that would bring me into my whole being, actually, my whole body, and to feel the energy, because we are energy, we could say it that way. I am energy, I am consciousness. And so the chanting can really help move it from an intellectual process down into the heart, open the heart to more compassion and love, and soften everything, and of course the whole body. Sometimes I've been singing kirtan and my body literally feels like it's jumping off the ground, and that's a nice experience to have. So let's just work with Om. We're almost at 8 minutes, and let's just do some oming. Again, I don't get into, some people start the morning with 21 ohms. I ohm as much as my heart wants to ohm. You can ohm your way through the day. Maybe you want to add something like Om Namaha Shivaya, which is just I bow to Shiva, I surrender to God. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. I'm going to stop this video and make video number 2, so see you in a moment.